Hello and welcome to a special Saturday edition of the Orange Ball. I'm Sarah Mitchell, and we are coming to you live from the absolute epicenter of the basketball universe. Right now, Los Angeles, California.
No better place to be.
It is Saturday, February 14th, 2026. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. But let's be honest. If you're listening to this deep dive, the only thing you're truly in love with today is probably the game of basketball.
Guilty as charged, Sarah. And honestly, there is no better place to be in love with the game than LA right now. The energy is just, it's undeniable.
It really is electric. We are knee-deep in All-Star Weekend. The vibes at the brand new Intuit Dome, and then you go over to the historic Kia Forum. It's just pulsing.
It really is.
If you walk outside, you see the stars, you feel that mid-season festival energy. It's that one time a year where the whole league takes a collective breath and just enjoys the spectacle. But we have a very specific mission today.
We do.
Usually a Saturday morning at All-Star Weekend is, it's reserved for fluff pieces, celebrity sightings, and maybe we talk about sneaker drops. But the NBA had other plans for us.
They certainly did. It feels like we are living in two different worlds today. We woke up expecting to talk about dunks, and, instead we're talking about discipline.
Exactly. That is the theme of this deep dive today, the duality of the NBA. On one side, we have the celebration we saw last night, the rising stars, the pageantry, the future of the league looking bright and shiny.
Yeah, the fun stuff.
The fun stuff. But on the other side, right as the party was starting, the league office decided to act like the chaperone turning on the lights at the high school dance. We have some harsh realities to discuss about the business side of basketball.
A very harsh reality.
Specifically, a crackdown on tanking that hit a couple teams' bank accounts pretty hard, and some massive suspensions for fighting.
It's the classic Friday news dump, but on steroids because they did it during the biggest party of the year. They dropped the hammer on the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers, and then they finally handed down the verdict on that Pistons-Hornets brawl.
It's a huge reminder.
It is. It's a reminder that while this is a game, it is also a multi-billion-dollar business with very, very strict rules of engagement.
So we're going to navigate both sides of this coin. Here is the roadmap for our deep dive. In segment 1, we are breaking down the basketball itself, Friday night's action, the Rising Stars tournament, and why the HBCU Classic at the Kia Forum wasn't just a feel-good story, but a really high-level tactical battle.
A great game.
Then in segment 2, we're going to unpack all the drama. The league struck back yesterday. That's $600,000 in total fines for tanking.
Wow.
So we need to ask, is that a lot of money? Or is it just the cost of doing business to draft a potential superstar? Plus, we'll look at the fallout from the brawl bills and the comedy of errors that was the celebrity game.
Oh, we have to talk about that.
We have to. And finally, in segment 3, we'll set the stage for tomorrow's main event and look at the second-half sprint for these surprising conference leaders. Are you ready to get into the weeds?
I was born in the weeds, Sarah. Let's break it down.
All right, let's start with the product on the floor. Segment 1. Last night's games. Now, be honest with me. Usually, the Rising Stars challenge on a Friday night is, let's just call it light cardio.
That's being generous.
It's a dunk fest. Nobody plays defense, and we all kind of tune out after about 10 minutes. But last night at the Intuit Dome, something felt different.
It was completely different, and I think we have to give credit to the format, for sure, but mostly to the players. I mean, we had Team Vince Carter taking the title with a 25-24 victory in the final over Team Melo.
A one-point game in the final.
A one-point game. But the story wasn't just the score. It was the intensity.
Yeah.
And the face of that intensity was, it was undeniably the rookie from the Philadelphia 76ers, VJ Edgecombe.
The MVP.
The MVP, and rightfully so. VJ Edgecombe didn't just participate in this game, he arrived. I think for anyone listening who might have missed it, we really need to contextualize what we saw.
Please.
In these exhibitions, you usually see what we call matador defense. You just wave the guy by to the rim because nobody wants to get hurt.
Sure.
Edgecombe played this like it was Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. He was sweating. He was communicating on switches. He was fighting over screens. It was real basketball.
I was looking at the notes from the Sixers camp before the show, and there's a great anecdote that really explains this. Apparently, his teammate, Tyrese Maxey, who is an all-star himself, told Edgecombe before the weekend, "I ain't coming to watch if you ain't going to play hard."
That's fantastic. That is accountability. That's the culture Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse have built in Philly. It starts at the top and it trickles all the way down.
It is. And Edgecombe clearly took it personally. There were reports he told Vince Carter, his coach for the night, if you want to win this thing, pick me.
I love that.
That's a bold thing for a rookie to say to an NBA legend.
It is, but you know what? He backed it up. And that mentality showed up in the metrics. He scored 17 points in the semifinal alone, and that included 10 straight points to close it out.
But it was how he scored. Right.
Exactly. Look at how he scored. In the semifinals, he went 3 of 3 from deep. He was hunting his shot. This wasn't just, easy transition dunks that anyone can get. This was half-court execution. He was reading the defense, seeing them go under the screen, and making them pay for it.
That's a veteran read.
It's a veteran read from a 20-year-old kid. It's impressive.
So the moment that everyone is talking about, though, it came at the very end of the final. We have the target score format, the elam ending, set at 25. The game clock is off. You have to hit a specific score to win.
Right. Creates that drama.
It does. And it prevents the intentional fouling. Team Vince is down. The pressure is on. What did you see from Edgecombe in that moment, tactically?
This was the scouting takeaway of the night for me, hands down. Okay, so Team Vince needs a bucket to win. Edgecombe gets the ball. He doesn't settle for a long jumper. He doesn't try to be the hero with a flashy move. He attacks the rim. And he draws a foul on Donovan Clingan, the big man from the Blazers. Now, for those who don't watch Portland regularly, you need to understand Clingan is a massive human being. He is one of the premier shot blockers in the league already. His drop coverage is elite.
So going into the chest of a 7-footer in an exhibition game, that's a risky play.
It's incredibly risky, but it's also incredibly savvy. A lot of rookies in that spot would have settled for a step-back 3 to try and get on the highlight reel.
Oh, for sure.
Edgecombe realized, I can get to the line. He forced the issue, he initiated the contact, and he earned the free throws. He calmly steps to the line, hits them both, game over.
That level of decision-making, choosing the high-percentage play over the flashy play in a game that, technically doesn't matter, that tells me everything I need to know about his basketball IQ.
It's maturity beyond his years. He understood the assignment. The assignment was win the game, not win the highlight.
It really feels like the Sixers have found another one. We know the process has been a roller coaster for a decade, but they have Tyrese Maxey, they have Embiid, and now they have Edgecombe showing this kind of alpha dog potential.
It changes their ceiling completely. I mean it.
Yeah.
If Edgecombe is this guy, a guy who wants the ball when the game is tight, who makes the right play under pressure, he's not just a role player. He's a third engine.
Wow.
And that is a terrifying thought for the rest of the Eastern Conference.
Speaking of engines and terrifying potential, we have to talk about the other highlight of the Rising Stars game. It was a bit of a family affair. The Harper versus Harper showdown.
Oh, this was pure cinema. This was great.
We had Dylan Harper, the rookie for the Spurs, playing for Team Melo, going up against his older brother, Ron Harper Jr., who was with the Celtics, and playing for Team Austin.
This was driveway basketball brought to the NBA stage. I mean, you could see the smirk on Dylan's face before the play even happened. He knew what he was going to do.
Walk us through it, because the move Dylan put on him was, well, it was rude.
It was disrespectful in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So it's the semifinals. Team Melo needs a bucket to win. Dylan Harper gets the ball at the top of the key. He sees the switch on the screen, and he sees his big brother, Ron Jr., checking him.
And Ron Jr. is a good defender.
He's a strong defender. He has NBA experience. This isn't some chump. But Dylan has that special offensive sauce. He's got that bag.
He went deep into the bag.
He did. He sizes Ron up, drives hard to his right, uses his body to bump Ron off his spot, just enough to create that separation, and then hits this nasty step-back jumper right over Ron's contest to win the game.
And the reaction. He immediately stuck his tongue out. It was very Jordan-esque.
The tongue out was iconic. And their dad, Ron Harper Sr., a 5-time NBA champion, was courtside just cracking up. He loved it.
Okay, strip away the family narrative for a second and analyze the skill. Dylan Harper scored 8 points in the final. He almost carried Team Melo to the win by himself. What does this tell you about what the Spurs have?
It tells me they have their second creator. We spend so much time talking about Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio, and we should. He's a generational talent. But the Spurs have been desperate for a secondary option, someone who can get a bucket when the play breaks down.
Because teams are just swarming Wemby now. They're sending double teams, sometimes triple teams, on the catch.
Exactly. You absolutely need someone who can punish the defense for overloading on Victor. You need a release valve. And Dylan Harper showed last night that he is a legitimate isolation scorer. He can create his own shot against good defense. That is the missing piece for San Antonio.
It's a terrifying thought for the rest of the league. The Spurs are already rising. We'll talk about their record later. But adding a creator like Harper who isn't afraid of the moment, that just accelerates their timeline.
It absolutely does. And I want to give a quick nod to the coaches here, too. Vince Carter and Carmelo Anthony were on the sidelines, and they weren't just sitting there looking pretty. They were demanding intensity.
I saw Vince yelling.
He was yelling, just go, creating that urgency. I think having legends coaching, guys who have been in the fire, rather than just celebrity guests, it filters down to the players. It made the product significantly better.
Absolutely. It wasn't the dunk contest,
Yeah.
but it had competitive integrity. And speaking of competitive integrity, we have to pivot to the second game of the night, the NBA HBCU Classic over at the Kia Forum. We had the Hampton Pirates taking on the North Carolina A&T Aggies.
Pure basketball-wise, this was the best game of the night, no question.
It really was. This wasn't an exhibition.
Yeah.
This was a conference game. It counts in the standings, and you could feel it. The energy was completely different.
It came down to the wire. North Carolina A&T pulls off the 71-70 victory, a one-point game. And you have to remember the context here. Just last month, on January 19th, Hampton blew these guys out.
By how much?
Hampton beat NC A&T by 21 points, 82-61. It wasn't even close.
So for A&T to come back a few weeks later on a national stage and flip the script like that, that speaks volumes about their coaching and their resolve.
It shows tremendous resilience and in-season adjustment. In a one-point game, every single possession is gold. The execution down the stretch was critical. Trent Middleton Jr. steps up and hits a decisive free throw to secure the win for the Aggies.
And Lewis Walker led them with 18.
He did, but the bigger story was the adjustment on the defensive end. They held Hampton to 70 points. They found a way to slow down Hampton's primary scorers like Gaines Wyatt and Long, who both had 17 but had to work for every single point. That's coaching.
It really showcased what HBCU basketball is all about. You heard Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum talk about pride, tradition, and excellence. You felt that in the building.
We did.
And broadcasting this on ESPN2 and NBA TV, it matters.
Yeah.
It exposes a global audience to a very specific, gritty, passionate brand of basketball.
The crowd at the Forum was into it, too. You had the bands, you had the alumni. It felt like March Madness came a month early, right here in February.
So, wrapping up segment one, I have to ask you. VJ Edgecombe, MVP of the Rising Stars. We're more than halfway through the season. Cooper Flagg is dealing with an injury, so the Rookie of the Year race is, it's wide open.
It is.
Did Edgecombe just lock up the momentum for the award with this performance on a national stage?
I think he grabbed the steering wheel. I really do. Listen, Cooper Flagg is a phenomenon, no doubt, but availability is the best ability. And Edgecombe is not only available, he's excelling. He didn't just win a trophy last night. He showed that he is the alpha dog of this rookie class. When the lights were brightest, he took the shot. He made the defensive plays. I'm going to say it, the Sixers have their third star. He's not a prospect anymore, he's a player.
The Sixers have their third star. Wow. That is a sentence that will keep Eastern Conference GMs awake at night for the next few years.
It absolutely should.
All right, let's take a breath. That was the celebration. That was the fun part of Friday. But as we teased in the intro, the NBA didn't just hand out trophies yesterday. They handed out some serious bills.
The accountant at the league office was working overtime, that's for sure.
We're moving into segment two, hot takes and controversies, and we have to start with the biggest number on the board, the tanking crackdown. The news broke yesterday. The NBA has fined the Utah Jazz $500,000 and the Indiana Pacers $100,000 for roster mismanagement.
Which is the polite corporate term for losing on purpose.
It is. It's the league saying you are tanking and you aren't being subtle enough about it. Now, $500,000, that sounds like a lot of money to us.
It does.
But for an NBA franchise that's worth billions, is this actually a deterrent or is it just a slap on the wrist?
I want to say yes, but I have to be cynical here, Sarah. Look at the prize. The 2026 draft class is being talked about as, potentially historic. We're talking about A.J. Debonsa, Cameron Boozer, Darren Peterson.
Generational type talents.
Scouts are calling these guys franchise cornerstones, the type of players who change your entire economy for the next 15 years.
Right. So getting a guy like A.J. Debonsa is worth potentially hundreds of millions in franchise value over the next decade.
Exactly. So if you are Ryan Smith, the owner of the Utah Jazz, and your front office tells you that you have to write a check for $500,000 to increase your odds of getting Debansa by even 1%, you write that check every single day of the week and you don't blink.
Go with the parking ticket.
It's a parking ticket. It's the cost of doing business.
But hold on, I want to push back on that. It might be pocket change for the owner, but the league is clearly embarrassed by this. Look at the evidence they cited. It was blatant.
It was.
The Jazz played the Orlando Magic on February 7th and the Miami Heat on February 9th. In both games, they were competitive. They blew a 17-point lead against Orlando. That doesn't just happen.
That's where it gets egregious. That's the problem.
And against Miami, it was a 3-point game heading into the fourth quarter. These were winnable games. And what did the Utah Jazz do? They pulled Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr., 2 All-Stars, before the fourth quarter even started, and they didn't put them back in.
That is the smoking gun. You cannot look me in the eye and tell me that pulling your 2 best players in a 3-point game against a playoff team like the Heat is rotation management or load management. No, that is throwing the game, and I actually think the league was right to step in here. It's an integrity issue for the entire product.
It creates a ripple effect, doesn't it? If the Jazz are just handing wins to Orlando and Miami, that hurts the teams chasing them in the playoff race. It completely distorts the standings.
Precisely. It's unfair to the fans who bought tickets expecting to see Markkanen play the fourth quarter, and it's deeply unfair to the rest of the league who are actually trying to compete.
And let's not forget the Pacers. They got hit for $100,000 for resting Pascal Siakam against, ironically, the Jazz.
The Tank Bowl, of course.
But the detail there that's so important is that the league sent independent physicians to check Siakam.
Yes.
And those doctors confirmed he could have played. That's a significant escalation from the league office.
It's a massive escalation. The league isn't just taking the team's word for it anymore. They're sending in their own doctors to verify these injury reports. That's a huge shot across the bow.
So Adam Silver released a statement, and the key phrase was, "We will respond accordingly to further actions." Do you think that's an empty threat? Or could we actually see the nuclear option stripping draft picks?
I think we're dangerously close to that. I really do. If Utah does this again next week, after being fined $500,000, Silver might have to take a second-round pick.
You think so?
I do. Because that is the only currency that actually hurts a tanking team. You can pay the fine, but if you lose the draft capital that you're tanking for, that defeats the entire purpose. It's a high-stakes game of chicken.
It really is. A game of chicken between the front offices and the league office. But speaking of high stakes and discipline, we also got the final word on the brawl bills.
The fallout from that Pistons-Hornets fight on February 9th, it was an ugly scene.
The suspension numbers are heady. Isaiah Stewart of the Pistons suspended 7 games, Miles Bridges of the Hornets 4 games, Moussa Diabate 4 games, Jalen Duren 2 games.
Stewart getting 7 games. That is a massive number in the modern NBA. We just don't see suspensions that long for on-court altercations anymore.
Pistons coach J.B. Bickerstaff is furious. He's out there claiming there's a narrative against Stewart. He thinks the league is targeting him because of his reputation. Do you buy that? Is 7 games justified, or is Bickerstaff right that Stewart is being riffed differently?
I don't buy the unfair targeting angle. I just don't. I look at the precedent. The NBA has an escalation ladder for discipline. It's not arbitrary.
Oh, right.
And Isaiah Stewart has a repeated history. We all remember the incident with LeBron in 2021 where he looked like he wanted to tear the entire arena down.
Oh, yeah, that was scary.
He had the incident in the stands in Minnesota just last year. When you have a rap sheet, the judge is going to be harsher. That's just how it works.
And the leagues specifically noted in their release that he left the bench area and escalated the fight. Those are the magic words.
That's the combo breaker. Leaving the bench is an automatic suspension. Escalating the fight is another. His history is the multiplier. You do the math of those 3 things combined, you get to 7 games.
The financial hit is real, too. Bobby Marks broke this down. Stewart is losing over $724,000 in salary.
Wow.
And Miles Bridges is losing nearly $690,000.
That is a vivid reality check. These guys are basically buying a luxury house and setting it on fire because they lost their temper for 30 seconds. It's an incredibly costly loss of control.
But the basketball impact is what fascinates me here. The Pistons are the story of the year. They are 40-13. They are leading the Eastern Conference. Their whole identity is toughness and defense. Now, they lose their enforcer, Stewart, for 7 games, and their starting center, Duran, for 2. Does this derail their momentum?
It's a dangerous, dangerous moment for them. The East is tight. If they go, say, 2-5 in the stretch without their 2 main bigs, the Celtics or the Knicks could completely swallow that lead. This is a huge maturity test for a young team. Can they win without their muscle?
It's definitely the storyline to watch immediately after the break. Okay, we have to pivot to something a little lighter before we close out this segment. We've talked about fines, we've talked about fights, now let's talk about bricks.
Oh no, we're going there. The celebrity game.
We have to. ESPN insider Shams Charania, the man who breaks news but apparently also breaks the rim.
It was generational. That's the only word for it. It was a generational performance.
Shams played for Team Giannis. His final stat line, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 for 6 shooting, 5 turnovers. Explain this to me. How does this even happen?
There is no explaining it. It was a complete disaster. Listen, Shams is the best newsbreaker in the game, but watching him on that court, it was rough. It was so rough.
It looked painful.
He was launching jumpers that weren't even close to the rim. It wasn't just missing. It was the way he missed. He looked like he had never held a basketball before in his life.
And the worst part, or maybe the best part, was his own coach, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was mic'd up.
Giannis was roasting him during the game. He literally said on national television, he cannot hoop. Can you imagine an NBA MVP, your coach, just telling the world you can't play while the game is happening?
And then there was that moment where Shams was checking his phone on the sidelines in the middle of the game.
That was the only thing he did well. He was probably checking if he got traded, or maybe checking if he could report his own benching to distract people from how bad he was playing.
It was undeniably funny. But I do think it serves a purpose. It sort of humanizes these insiders. We see them in suits, breaking news, looking perfect on TV.
True.
Seeing Shams go 0 for 6, it reminds us that basketball is an incredibly hard sport.
It does. And honestly, props to him for going out there. I would not want to be on that court with millions of people watching. But my closing take for segment 2 is this. The Utah Jazz might have paid $500,000 for a better draft pick, and that might pay off in 5 years. But Shams Charania, he paid with his dignity for free, and that's a transaction you can't reverse.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But fair. Welcome back to the Orange Ball. We've covered the past, the rising stars and the fines. Now let's look at what's next. Sunday is coming, the main event.
The All-Star game.
Yeah.
The calm before the storm, or maybe the storm before the calm, I'm not sure which.
The NBA is trying something new again. We have another new format, a 3-team tournament. It's Team World versus Team USA Stars and Team USA Stripes. They are trying everything to fix the competitiveness problem, aren't they?
They're desperate for effort, absolutely desperate. The last few years have been unwatchable, just guys jacking up 40-footers with no defense. The hope here is that by splitting Team USA, you create a real rivalry. You put Anthony Edwards on Stars and Jason Tatum on Stripes and hope their natural ego kicks in. You hope they start thinking, I want to prove I'm on the better team.
But there's a big cloud hanging over this game, the injury bug.
It has bitten hard, really hard. Stephen Curry is out. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander SGA is out. Those are 2 MVP candidates just gone. And Luka Doncic is there, but he's managing a hamstring strain, so don't expect him to play heavy minutes or go all out.
So tactically, how does that shift the team world dynamic? Because without SGA's driving ability and Luka at 100%, that team looks very, very different on paper.
It shifts the entire burden onto Nikola Jokic. The entire offensive load. And we know Jokic, he's the best player in the world, but he treats the All-Star game like a chore.
He'd rather be in Serbia.
He'd rather be racing his horses. Without SGA to break down the defense and create shots, Team World lacks that perimeter punch. It might actually make the tournament format interesting because the USA teams might smell blood in the water and actually try to win.
We can hope. But there is one player who we know will treat the moment with the respect it deserves. The ageless wonder. LeBron James.
The king. It's just incredible.
He is playing in his 21st All-Star game. That is a record. He has 22 selections, another record, and he is 41 years old. I feel like we say this every single year, but we need to pause and appreciate this.
We do, because this isn't a legacy pick. This is not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his final season, just waving to the crowd and scoring 4 points.
No, he just dropped a triple-double on Thursday night.
Exactly. Against the Dallas Mavericks, a good playoff team. 28 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds. He is the oldest player in NBA history to record a triple-double. And he beat his own record from last year.
J.J. Redick, his coach on the Lakers, had the quote of the year for me. He said he's got a 23-year prime. And when you watch him play, it's hard to argue with that. The processing speed is still the best in the league.
He's managing his body, sure. He doesn't jump as high as he did in 2009 in Cleveland. But the basketball brain is faster than ever. Sunday isn't just an exhibition for him, it's a lap of honor that just never seems to end.
Now, looking past Sunday, the All-Star break is the traditional reset button for the season. We look at the standings and we ask ourselves, who is real? Because some of these standings look completely upside down compared to what we predicted back in October.
Oh, completely. If you told me in October the standings would look like this in mid-February, I would have assumed there was a glitch in the simulation.
Let's start with the team we mentioned earlier, the Detroit Pistons. 40-13, first place in the Eastern Conference.
It is the surprise of the decade. I'm not exaggerating.
What is driving this? Beyond just the grit and toughness.
Two things. First, Cade Cunningham. He has made the leap. He is a bona fide superstar. Now, controlling the pace of the game, making advanced reads, scoring at all three levels, he's the real deal. But secondly, it's the defensive buy-in from the entire roster. Before the brawl suspensions, they were locking teams down. They fully embraced that bad boys identity.
But now they have this suspension hurdle to clear immediately.
Right. They have to survive the next 2 weeks without Stewart. That's a huge test. If they can hold on to the #1 seed through this stretch, I'm a believer. They're for real.
Let's move to the West. The San Antonio Spurs, they are 38-16, sitting second in the West, and they are on a 6-game winning streak heading into the break.
The alien has landed. It's that simple. Victor Wembanyama is redefining what is possible on the defensive end of the floor. We see the blocks on the stat sheet, but it's the shots that don't even get taken because he's just standing near the rim. That fear factor is worth 10 points a game by itself.
And finally, a team that made a massive splash at the trade deadline. The Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 34-21, but the roster looks very, very different. They traded Darius Garland to the Clippers, and they brought in James Harden.
This is the all-in move of the season, no doubt about it.
Genius or desperate?
I think it's a little of both, but I kind of love it for them. High risk, high reward. The Garland and Donovan Mitchell backcourt, it had a ceiling. It was redundant.
Bit too small?
A bit too small, too much of the same thing. Harden. He completely changes the geometry of their offense. You put James Harden in a pick and roll with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, that is a nightmare to defend. Harden is the best facilitator those bigs have ever played with.
And they've won 5 straight with him. The honeymoon phase is going well.
We'll see if it holds up in the playoffs when defenses get tight. But right now, Cleveland looks like the most dangerous dark horse in the entire Eastern Conference.
Well, it sets up an absolutely incredible second half of the season. You've got the young Pistons trying to hold on, the rising Spurs with their alien, and the veteran Cavs making this huge swing.
The old guard is officially on notice. The torch isn't just being passed anymore, it's being snatched.
I am ready for it. Give us your final thought for the listeners as they head into the rest of the All-Star weekend.
My final thought. Enjoy the dunk contest tonight. Let Shams live his life, and keep your eyes on those standings. Because come Thursday, when the season resumes, the race is on.
And I'll add, watch LeBron on Sunday. Really watch him play. We don't know how many more of these we're going to get. Appreciate greatness while it's still here. That's a wrap for this special Saturday edition of The Orange Ball. We'll be back on Monday to recap the main event.
Enjoy the break, everyone. Keep watching The Orange Ball.